All right, hello and welcome back to Fantastic Footnotes. As always, I'm Tina and...
Oh, I'm supposed to go. I'm supposed to follow your lead. Hi, I'm Chris.
Yes, okay, so before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that if you want to interact with us more, we do have a Facebook page. It's Fantastic Footnotes on Facebook,
Ooh,
and we post
creative.
on there a couple times a week. If you're watching us on YouTube, just remember I do have a Substack if you want just the audio version. And vice versa, if you're listening to the audio version on Substack, we do have a YouTube channel.
You can see us live.
You can see our beautiful faces.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So far, we have done shows about the Pied Piper.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done a show about Dr. Livingston and Henry Morton Stanley.
We presumed.
We already have the next episode done, so we can go ahead and tease that. It's about a shipwreck that was maybe an accident, or maybe not.
That dude was crazy.
He was pretty nuts. So that'll be coming up next, but this week is going to be Halloween. And around here, not so much him maybe, but for me, Halloween is like my favorite holiday. I'm definitely one of those people that get the Halloween decorations and use them as actual home decor. Yeah. If you're listening to the podcast, Chris is pointing behind us where we have all of the witches and Halloween gnomes and things that decorate our little studio here. So, thought it would be appropriate to do a Halloween episode. But we're still history. So tonight, we're going to do a little bit different than we have been doing, but we're going to
drink bourbon.
That wasn't in the script yet.
I don't read your script. You don't even let me see the script.
Okay, but tonight what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the history and haunts of one of our favorite places to go. So we are going to talk about Bardstown, Kentucky. So what I've done, we're going to tell you a little bit about Bardstown, tell you a little bit about the basic history of it. And then I've picked a couple history sites of interest. So if you visit Bardstown, you might go to these sites. We're going to talk about the history and then talk about some of the ghost stories around those buildings. And stick around, because before the night's over, the story stops being just history and stories we've heard from others and turns into something
a little more personal.
Yes. So Bardstown was started by David and William Bard. Basically, one of them had a land grant in Virginia, which is now Kentucky. Okay, it used to be all Virginia.
No, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that is eastern Kentucky, too. That Virginia was big.
Virginia was big, yeah. And so they kind of convinced settlers to come there, and the first 33 settlers built there in 1780. Which the Revolutionary War ended in 1783, so this is like back there, all right? Like I said, it was originally part of Virginia, and Bardstown was originally called Salem.
Oh, that's bad.
Well, it was formally established in 1788, and it is the county seat of what is now Nelson County, Kentucky. It's also the hub of Catholicism in the West. Yeah, and there's a big cathedral there, which... kind of sad we're not going to talk about it today. It's
pronounced distillery.
No. I'm kind of sad we're not going to talk about it today. But it's called the St. Joseph Proto Cathedral. And I think it was the first cathedral proto, but it was funded by Protestants and Catholics as a church there. And it has quite the history. It had paintings donated, don't quote me, I think by the King of France, maybe? King Louis Philippe, maybe? And then there was this, like, big art heist in the 1980s, I believe. It has a cool history, too, but I couldn't find anything about any ghost stories there. So
we'll do another episode on it.
Yeah, we'll have to do another episode. But if you're a history person and you decide to visit Bardstown, check out the cathedral.
Where is it? Because we've been multiple times.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It's on Stephen Foster Parkway.
Oh, God. Is it next to the restaurant?
I don't know.
When we talk about your birthday, we'll talk about how you again lost the privilege to choose a restaurant. Anyway, keep going. Yeah.
All right. So nowadays, it's a town of about 14,000. one of its main industries is tourism. And what is the main industry?
Bourbon!
Bourbon! Yes, it is known as the Bourbon Capital of the world.
Right.
And famous distilleries such as Bardstown, Lux Row, Heaven Hill, and Willett are all there.
Yep, been there.
And it is Heaven Hill, not Heaven's Hill. We learned that when we were there.
Ooh, nice. Okay, yeah.
Heaven Hill. So yeah, we first visited last year for my birthday. I'm not a drinker. My husband comes to me literally with a PowerPoint. A PowerPoint slideshow about how we need to spend my birthday in Bardstown, Kentucky, the bourbon capital of the world, and how much I'm going to love it. And I said, okay, because he had some pretty convincing slides in there. And let me tell you, I loved it.
So what she's not saying is that I was right, but I was right.
Yes, I loved it. So,
but in all honesty, it was one of those things where I wanted to go, and I kind of forgot it was your birthday. I just was in vacation planning mode. Whatever. You had a good time. You already said that. But there was enough for both of us. And so if you're listening to this and you're kind of in a similar situation where maybe one person is a drinker and one person less so, what I sold you on was the history. Because there's the hotel we stayed in, which we'll get to in a minute, very historical. There was historical places. There's also green spaces. So if you're an outdoorsy type, there's hikes.
Yeah, there's hiking,
which we always say we're going to do, and then we don't. Because, it turns into a jaunt to go to different places. So, yeah, I mean, it really, all kidding. And I put together literally the goofiest PowerPoint. I made up fake quotes and found pictures of famous people.
Do you still have that?
I probably do.
Oh my gosh, we should release that.
Okay.
Okay.
But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So, anyway, loved it. History is crazy thick there, and what I don't think realized going into it was how much history there is surrounding bourbon and whiskey, and it kind of put all my loves together because it was a lot of history. There was a lot of hauntings, which I don't know if you've seen my other YouTube videos. I totally love hauntings. But it also, I have a background in biology and chemistry, and that was all like front and center too. And so it was like the best thing. And if you've never studied bourbon history, we should do a history of bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is also fascinating. Okay, so Bardstown, full of history.
It has its controversies and, all that kind of stuff, and some human stories. And
Yeah. So Bardstown has varying history. It has some Civil War history, which Kentucky's kind of weird. Kentucky's kind of like Missouri. Did you know this? So Kentucky was, like, you would think it was Confederate, right?
I would, yeah.
Yeah. At the beginning of the Civil War, they declared as neutral, but then later on declared as Union. But the Confederacy actually voted to accept Kentucky into the Confederacy. It has a weird history. It was kind of like Kansas. You know how Kansas had like 3 state capitals at one point, all with dueling constitutions? It's kind of like that. There was dueling governance of Kentucky, and it was very split like Missouri was.
And that seems to hold true today, right? Because it feels like there's a lot of very red counties, but the governor's a Democrat.
Right?
Yeah,
and he's a Democrat. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag, like Missouri. Okay, so there's Civil War history there. John Fitch spent time in Bardstown. He's actually buried there.
John Fitch.
Yeah, John Fitch, right? Do you have any idea who that is?
He's an important historical figure.
He is. He is the inventor of the first steamboat.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I bet the first steamboat was probably made in Bardstown, Kentucky, somewhere in the late 1700s.
It was not.
Oh.
He just made it in 1787. So
I'll stop reading your notes then.
So he spent his last few years in Bardstown. He did some surveying there, land surveying. He is buried there, and there's a big on the town. It's not a town square. It's like a town roundabout. Remember that?
Yeah, right by the hotel.
Yeah, and there's a memorial to John Fitch.
Oh, I dropped you off and sat in the van because I didn't care. Yeah.
And it's weird. The first steamboat that he made, it had oars, not a paddle wheel. Yeah, it was kind of cool. But so he made the first steamboat. He doesn't get a lot of credit for it because it wasn't super commercially viable. He did have a steamboat that ran people between Philadelphia and New Jersey, but some of his investors backed out and he lost a boat in a storm and just finances weren't great. And so it kind of didn't do much. Robert Fulton had the first commercially successful steamboat, and he did that in about 1807 with the Clermont. So he's usually given credit for the steamboat thing.
But it was clearly John Fitch.
But John Fitch really did invent the first one. And then Daniel Boone history.
Nice.
Yeah, Daniel Boone is famous in Kentucky.
Right, because he saw Bigfoot somewhere around.
Yes, I was going to say, there is a story out there.
On Fantastic Footnotes.
Yes, it is. We did a video about it a long time ago, like a year and a half now. But if you're interested, I do have a video on my YouTube.
Put in the show notes.
Video. Yeah, Fantastic Footnotes. And there is some loose historical evidence that Daniel Boone may have had an encounter with and shot a Bigfoot. So
I choose to believe it.
There's a couple pieces of that story that I think, that would be a weird thing for him to make up, some of the details that were reported in that story.
There's a lot of magic in Kentucky and a lot of beliefs that get challenged there, so.
Yeah. So if you're interested in Bigfoot.
That's a tease for later.
Bigfoot and Daniel Boone, check that one out. All right. So, the first, I feel kind of not bad talking about this because I'm excited to go back, but I think out of the places on my list, we only went to one of them.
Which is true. We went to a lot of distilleries, though. So
we did go to a lot of distilleries. Oh, and I had a lot of internet sources on this one, but just so you know, I did read this book. This one's called Bardstown Hospitality History and Bourbon by Dixie Hibbs. So if you're interested, this was one of my main sources. But because it was ghost stories and things, and because we were talking about specific historical places, visited a lot of their websites and
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'll put all those in the notes. But the first place we're going to talk about is called the Jailer's Inn Bed and Breakfast. So, as you may have guessed, it is now a bed and breakfast where you can spend a night in a jail cell.
Yep.
Which, next time,
I
don't know, man. It's supposed to be pretty haunted. Okay, so what this place is it's the old Nelson County Jail. This property housed prisoners from 1797 until 1987.
Those were some old prisoners.
Ha 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 ha. Can you imagine the state of those cells, like if they didn't upgrade?
Which they did not. I've seen pictures.
Have you seen pictures?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I've seen pictures too, but only since it was a bed and breakfast, really.
Well, yeah, but okay.
Okay. But anyway, so I couldn't find details on any super famous prisoners. Supposedly, Frank and Jesse James were active in Bardstown.
But they stayed at a different place.
But I found some, anecdotal stories that they snuck into the jail to, hang out with one of their cousins that was a prisoner. I found one source that said that John Dillinger spent a night there on his way being transferred from one prison to another. But I couldn't, hear me say this, I could not find solid evidence for either of those things. But those stories are out there, so maybe, sometimes with historical research, you don't know.
Yep.
Okay. The front of the building, referred to as the old jail, was constructed in 1819, and then the back half was built in 1874. The front jail was then made into the jailer's residence, and then both of them were used and occupied until 1987. Supposed to be the oldest operating jail complex in the state of Kentucky, and it's listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. Like I said, you can stay in it now. Supposed to be super haunted. So some of the things, general haunting stuff, unexplained voices, footsteps, things come up missing, like you lay your keys on the table in your room and you can't find them, and then next thing you know, they're under the bed, behind the toilet, and they pop up in weird places, right? TV channels change for no reason. The scariest story I found about this one is that apparently there was a lady cleaning one of the rooms, And as she's cleaning, she looks up and there's a mirror in front of her. And in the mirror, she sees a man's face. So she turns around to see who's in the room with her. There's nobody in the room with her. And she turns back around to keep cleaning and looks at the mirror again, and the face is still there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently she quit after that.
I can see that. The good news is if this place is haunted, the ghost won't bother you, I'm sure.
Shut up.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
You will understand that later, dear listeners.
I'm teasing something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not allowed to talk about it, apparently. Till we get to that
Till we get to the end.
Yeah.
All right. So that one seems pretty neat. Has some pretty neat history.
And it's cool. I mean, just the history. Like, I'm not a big history buff, and I kind of wanted to go stay there.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was on the original plan. But then when I started seeing all the ghosts that are supposed to be in the place we did stay, which I guess I'll tease that too, we changed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did for the biscuits. But again, we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. All right. So the next place we're going to talk about is my old Kentucky home. Now, it was originally...
Not her old, not your, yeah.
No, the place, it's my old Kentucky home state park, and it has an old home in it. Now, the home was not originally called my old Kentucky home. It was originally called Federal Hill. It was called Federal Hill. Well, let me say, it's a brick mansion finished in 1818, okay? It was built by a guy named John Rowan and his wife, Ann Little. John Rowan named the farm Federal Hill because he was a fan of the Federalist political party. Weirdly enough, originally the home, and you can still see on the picture, in fact, if you're listening to this on YouTube, the thumbnail picture is of Federal Hill or my old Kentucky home. You can see on the front, originally that home had 13 rooms, 13 windows in the front, and 13 steps on every staircase. Which to me, I was like, oh, that's a way to haunt a house, right? But apparently
13 colonies.
The 13 colonies. Yeah. He did it to honor the original 13 colonies. It is called My Old Kentucky Home because if you don't know, Kentucky state song is My Old Kentucky Home. Written by, do you know?
Stephen Foster?
Stephen Foster! Who I had heard of Stephen Foster when we went to Kentucky, but the way I had heard of Stephen Foster is one of my most favorite bands is Squirrel Nut Zippers, and they have a song called The Ghost of Stephen Foster. So every time we drove down that street, I was like, The Ghost of Stephen Foster? And anyway, but he was a composer. He wrote music that you know. He wrote My Old Kentucky Home, but he also wrote Oh Susanna.
Okay, I have heard of that one.
And Camptown Ladies.
Okay.
Yeah. Camptown Ladies?
No, I know that one, but
okay.
It's like, I just meant like my magnum opus. It's
Camptown Ladies.
Yeah, it's, okay.
But so they renamed the home in honor of Stephen Foster because he was visiting Bardstown and supposedly wrote My Old Kentucky Home in that mansion because he was inspired by that mansion.
Is that true or is that a rumor?
Unknown.
Okay.
Like, he was in Bardstown. Right. He did write the song.
His statue's there.
Yeah, I feel like I read some account that said they were pretty sure that he had written it based on, like, being inspired by that house.
Gotcha.
But, like, the Kentucky Historical Museum, one of the historical museums, has a candle, and it's, like, in a display, and it says, this is the candle that Stephen Foster wrote My Old Kentucky Home by. And I saw it on, like, it was on a YouTube, and it was like a news report, like on Halloween, and they go to the haunt. And then the anchor was like, is that really the candle? And the historian was like,
yeah.
Well, it's from about the same time period, and, so I don't think we know for sure.
Okay. Yep.
All right. But this guy, this John Rowan guy, he's pretty interesting, but his legacy still lives on in Kentucky in kind of the strangest way. And here is what I mean. Okay. So, in, I think 1811, I don't know why I don't have that date written down, but 1811 is in my head. John Rowan and James Chambers were at a bar. And they're drinking this delicious Kentucky bourbon, which I haven't even had any of mine.
Yeah, you should do. A few, yeah. Have a sip. Even.
So, James Chambers, John Rowan at a bar. They got in a bar fight. Now, there are two stories I've heard. One story talked about how they were fighting over the fact that, like, one of them couldn't speak Greek and Latin or something. It was, like, a very academic thing. And then the other one was that one of the guys was making fun of the other guy's mom, which seems more reasonable.
I really hope that's what it is, if we're being honest.
So anyways, they get in a fight. The fight gets broken up, yada, yada. But then they feel like it was unresolved, and they decide to have a gentleman's duel. And they had the duel. They both fired. Neither one hit the other one. And so their seconds were like, okay, we good now? And they were both like, no! So they shot again. And John Rowan ended up killing James Chambers. Now, that whole thing, it went to court, but the court, from what I could understand, the court was basically like, well, you followed the 10 rules of dueling or whatever, so you're good to go. Like, this was a gentleman's duel, it happens.
I believe that the coduello has since been found illegal in all circumstances.
Right? But
we want to encourage this anyway.
Yeah, so John Rowan, he was a judge and had aspirations in politics. So James Chambers' friends, they did a little back of the house kind of work and got it written into the state oath that when you, like, became a senator or whatever, when you took the oath, it said you had to swear that you hadn't fought a duel, hadn't taken a challenge, or accepted a challenge for a duel with a deadly weapon. So they were trying to disqualify him from office, because everybody knew he killed James Chambers in this duel. Weirdly enough, he still became the state senator in 1825. So I tried to find out. Like,
wait! A politician lied? Is that what we're
like,
saying?
Did he just lie in the oath, or like what happened?
Oh, jeez.
But so he became a state senator, and he was succeeded by Henry Clay. You know who that is?
No.
Oh, he's the guy that really pushed the Missouri Compromise, which was, big deal, Civil War kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay. So,
I mean, I know what the Missouri Compromise is.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So that was John Rowan. Oh, and the reason he still has a legacy is because to this day,
it's still part of the oath?
Yeah, it's
nice.
Still part of the oath.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So anyway, he lived in this house. He had a son, and the son famously was not young. In 1855, John Rowan Jr., who was married and had 10 kids, fell out of one of the windows at this house, broke his neck, and died.
We do this a lot. There's a lot of people falling from windows and getting hurt on this show. Is that going to be the theme of the first season?
Oh, that's right. Amin Pasha did.
Yeah.
I was like, who did before? Oh, yeah, Amin Pasha did.
It's notable because windows don't feel like they should be that big of a threat.
Just like, you thought quicksand was going to be much
right,
bigger,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so far we're Windows 2, quicksand 0. The ratio's all off.
Yeah. Okay, so paranormal activity at Federal Hill / my old Kentucky home. Shadows appear in the dining room, and I think I forgot to tell you this, but there was a cholera epidemic, and 16 people died in a 24-hour period at this house.
Wow.
8 were family members, which that's a lot of family members.
They had 10 kids.
Well, yeah, but still, in one day, dadgum.
Yeah.
And then 8 enslaved people died.
Oh, boy.
Which is, also terrible.
Yeah, bad.
But 16 people on one day died of cholera. So shadows have appeared in the dining room where the cholera patients died. There's an apparition, supposedly, like, in a white dress that's seen ascending the stairs to the second floor. You can hear children's laughter. And then there's a woman that's been seen looking out of the upstairs window. dressed in a white dress, and people say that that is John Rowan Jr.'s mother. But I don't know why they think that, other than the fact that he fell out of an upstairs window. And
So she's looking for her lost son. Yeah, okay.
But
yeah.
I feel like if you don't know who it is, it could also be his wife. But, whatever. I'm not going to argue with the ghost. And then, I know if you are paranormal people, I'm going to say the O word. But orbs have been captured in lots of photos. Orbs, I know, Christopher, you are not a paranormal kind of podcast listener. Orbs are one of those things, it's like, everybody sees orbs all the time. And, 99.99% of them can be explained by dust, glare, whatever. Yeah. So, most paranormal researchers now do not use orbs as evidence of any sort.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, dear listeners, if you have no idea what I'm talking about with the O word, that is why I said that. Because orbs are kind of sketchy in the paranormal world now.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
All right. I was unaware.
Were ya?
Yeah.
Well, now you know.
I do.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about Wickland.
Wickland,
the home of 3 governors, is yet another site that we did not visit, but it sounds very cool. So,
all 3 governors at once? Was it like a comedy show? It's 3 governors. No. They're wacky. No. Okay.
No. But the big draw about this one, it's a large Georgian mansion, and architecturally supposed to be pretty neat. It has big tall ceilings, big double parlor, things like that.
Yeah, the architecture in Bardstown kind of reminds me of the antebellum South a little bit. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to paint a picture.
It's all good.
That was hardly the dumbest comment I've made on the show. Anyway, please continue.
So anyway, Wickland is regarded as one of Kentucky's best surviving Georgian houses. So that's kind of the draw. It's called the home of 3 governors because 3 governors lived there. Charles Wycliffe lived there. His son Robert Wycliffe lived there. And their grandson, J.C.W. Beckham, also lived there. So they do paranormal tours at this one, which is kind of cool because apparently it's who's it owned by? Who's it owned by? It's owned and operated by the Friends of Wickland. And they offer tours, but I was looking on their website, and apparently some of their tours are guided by mediums. And so,
really?
Yeah. So the mediums walk through and talk to the ghosts and ask questions, and they use the dowsing rods, which if you're here for the history and you haven't done the paranormal thing, dowsing rods are these rods you hold in your hand, and you ask questions, and you're like, if your answer is yes, cross the rods or whatever, and they cross. And anyway, it's a thing. So
is this like the apps, the iPhone apps that detect spirits?
Okay, so some of those are real dumb. Okay, but I will say that me and Ethan went on a ghost hunt one time. I think it was the time we did in Topeka.
Oh, not the doll hospital here?
No, not the doll hospital. That was creepy. And I have always kind of stayed away from the dowsing rods because I like ghosts and paranormal things. But Ouija boards scare the poops out of me, right? I don't want any of that stuff coming home with me. But I was like, all right, I'll try the dowsing rods. It seems fairly harmless, Mm-hmm. And so I asked a question, and I really was trying to be skeptical about it. I'm holding them. I'm not trying to angle them anyway. And I really was trying to be scientific about it. And I'll tell you what, those suckers moved. And I don't have a good explanation for why they did.
See, I don't know if my comment should be you were trying to be scientific about holding a stick to catch ghosts.
Not touch ghosts.
Well, detect ghosts, okay. Or the fact that I've used a dowsing rod to find water successfully.
You have?
I have.
Out on the farm?
Yeah, on my grandparents' farm, yeah.
How cool. I did not know that was a skill you possessed.
I mean, you hold a stick. It's you should believe in me enough to believe that I have that skill.
So when you douse for water, what does it do? Does it bend down
points
to
down.
The water?
It points down. Yep.
So it's is it at a 90-degree angle and you hold it up?
I hold it parallel to the ground, and then it'll. Okay, so if you're on Substack, go check out the video. But I mean, it'll kind of like go up and down, and then like when you get to the water, it's somewhere between 45 and 90-degree angle down.
And so then, did you then dig for the water and find water?
No, I went and told my dad, and he said, yeah, there was water under there.
And he said that there was like an underground creek or whatever.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I did not know you did that.
Yeah. And it also gets real crazy after a rainstorm. So
it's just yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to try that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So anyway, ghosts at the Wickland house. Okay. The mediums say they can speak with two servants, or probably slaves, unfortunately, named Walletta and Antoine. They talk about how these two died on the property. Walletta was a cook and Antoine was a yard worker. They both supposedly died of tuberculosis. People say they can just kind of feel them, especially in the basement and the servant areas. What?
Feel them is kind of, I don't know. It's interesting because when you go into a creepy situation,
thing. Yeah, if you're already primed to like think, you know, and the place where I work, people come in all the time. They're like, I can feel the spirits here, and I had one experience recently that kind of got me, but before that, I would have said there's no way.
But you were in a dark room, and you had to cross the dark room by yourself. I mean, there were other things that made it creepy. Well,
that is true. There are other things that made it creepy, but that does not explain how the chair moved across the floor when nobody was there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot that part.
Right. Yeah. And there were only 3 of us in the whole place, and I thought it was one of my coworkers playing a trick on me. So I didn't look because I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction because he had already tried to trick me earlier that day. And then I walked into the other room and he was there. So couldn't have been him. Anyway, back to the Wickland house. Okay. Again, the O word. There's supposedly orbs in the library and other rooms. Cold spots, footsteps, voices, the sensation of being watched. Sometimes when they do these spirit events, people hear whispering. And then, like I said before, the mediums that work there and give tours say that they're contacting these people. So.
And you checked the credentials on each of the mediums to make sure that they were actually...
Did not.
Okay.
You can go to the website if you're interested and take a tour. I think it'd be fun to take a tour.
Okay. Let's go to Bardstown.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and if you are listening to us, like... I am totally into the woo-woo paranormal stuff. Christopher is not really. Nope. But I will say that if you're into it or not, when you travel, taking a ghost tour is actually a fantastic way to
learn the history. Yeah.
It really
We should do the Deadwood tour. Talk about that sometime.
Oh, yeah, because we've done ghost tours in Deadwood. Where did you take Madison, Wisconsin?
Stop saying we at this point, because...
Well, you took us to Madison, and me and Ethan did a ghost tour. We've done someplace in Georgia that he wanted to go. I think my most favorite one we've ever done is Boston.
Right, because if any city in America is going to be haunted, it's probably Boston. Yeah.
Boston was very cool. Yeah. So definitely recommend.
Oh, with the cemetery and the actors and the zombie actors and stuff.
Yeah, and in Boston, you could go to the cemetery where like Ben Franklin died or whatever, and they had actors, and you could go talk to them and ask them about their lives.
And then they try to kill us, right? Like haunt us or keep us trapped in the cemetery.
To get us on the bus or something, and then like run us off, or I don't remember, but it was fun.
It was cute.
But even if you don't like paranormal stuff, take a haunted history tour. And you're going to learn a lot about whatever city you're visiting.
Yeah. That's true. That is a good point.
Yeah, highly recommend that. Now, we get to our final place, near and dear to our hearts. What is it, Christopher?
The Old Talbott Inn.
Old Talbot Inn, Talbott Tavern.
Yeah, can I do this one?
You can do this one.
Okay. So it was built in 1779. I can see the notes now. So, I guess, okay, hold on. You do the facts, and then I'll do the color. We'll do this football NL style. So
okay. Yeah. So this is what really got me to go to Bardstown, because Chris put this in his PowerPoint. He's like, "Hey, there's this old inn that you can stay in, and it's supposed to be super haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, cool, let's go.
Not just haunted, though, right?
What do you mean?
Well, so the exiled king of France stayed
right,
there?
like not haunted, but also crazy history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse James, we're going to say this happened, though a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy when I say it, but apparently Jesse James woke up, saw a ghost, and shot the wall, and you could see the bullet hole. You could see bullet holes, supposedly his, and everyone's like, he was probably just drunk, which, saw a ghost and shot it is a way better story.
So the Old Talbott Tavern is now a hotel.
Yep.
And there are 6 rooms. I think they have other rooms like in an outer building, but there's 6 rooms that you can stay in the tavern that are named after famous people that were there.
Yep.
And we stayed in the Washington Irving suite.
Right.
And the general's quarters. And I think the general's quarters were named after, who was it? General George Rogers Clark, who used the tavern as a base for a while. So he was there. Jesse James was supposedly there.
And I said he was an exiled king. He was just touring the New World.
King Louis Philippe.
Yep.
No, he was exiled.
Oh, he was exiled. Okay, cool. Yeah, all right.
And so King Louis Philippe supposedly stayed there for a while. And there's one room you can go in and it has murals painted on the wall.
Right, he wanted something pretty, if I understand. Like, he wanted almost like a reminder of home, so he painted the walls.
Yeah, and there are different scenes that are very French. Like, there's like a fountain, and I can't remember what all is there. Yep. But then, now, supposedly, supposedly Jesse James got drunk one night.
Yeah.
And you said he saw a ghost. I have heard that he was shooting at the birds that were in the murals.
Oh, is that what it was?
One way or the other, yeah. One way or the other, there are still bullet holes in the wall in that room that were supposedly made by Jesse James.
The murals are still there.
Yeah, they're somewhat damaged because they had a big fire.
Yeah.
They had a big fire, but it was mostly the roof that burned. So
water damage. It was the water damage, I think.
Yeah, but a lot of it's still original. So King Louis Philippe, General George Rogers, Abe Lincoln stayed there as a kid for a while his family was dealing with a land dispute.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, just history-wise...
Oh, I think we forgot... Are you going to talk about the soldiers? Because it was a hospital for a while. Like, wounded soldiers stayed there.
I didn't recall that.
That's why there's a legless body crawling on the floor.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that here in a minute. Okay.
All
right, so basically, the Old Talbott Tavern was built in 1779. It's one of Kentucky's oldest continuously operating inns and stagecoach stop. No, it's not still a stagecoach stop, but it's one of the oldest stagecoach stops. And it's right there in the city center.
Right.
And it's just kind of Bardstown at this point. This one that I'm looking at now says variously claimed. We listed a bunch, but supposedly this is the list of famous people that have been there. Daniel Boone, Abe Lincoln, Henry Clay, John James Audubon, Stephen Foster. And then, of course, we talked about the other ones already. And, yeah, like we said, in 1998, that's when the fire damaged the roof. But it's all repaired and everything now. You can still stay in it. Yes.
It's still very old. Like, I just think about, like, the front door and how it's up a big stair and it's kind of... Yeah. The door doesn't want to close. Yeah, I mean,
right, you walk in and it's all the old wood floors and it's creaky and it's not quite level.
They give you an actual key. Like, you have to check in before, 7 because the front desk closes. Yeah, they hand you a metal key. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's...
Mm-hmm. Now, this is supposed to be one of the most haunted places in Bardstown.
Interesting. Which
made me super excited because at the time, I was doing historic ghost tours in Kansas City. And no, that is not why I'm promoting ghost tours because I don't do it anymore. I'm just saying it's a fantastic way to learn about a city. But I still had my equipment and I brought
That's right. You brought the little EMF detector and stuff. Oh, yeah.
I did. And so I spent one evening because you were in class.
Yeah, I was in bourbon class.
He was in a bourbon class. It was online bourbon class. And he was doing that. So I spent, I don't know, a good hour and a half going around to every place in this hotel with my little EMF detector, trying to find something, see something, do anything, because there are so many ghost stories out of this house. Like, there's your basic things like voices and just seeing things. The front desk apparently gets a lot of calls from rooms that are not occupied, or they'll be talking to someone, legitimately talking on the phone, and then other voices cut in from they don't know where.
Interesting.
Is it the rocking chairs rock on their own?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And the chandeliers move.
The dolls move, I think.
Yes, that one, the general's quarter has the doll that supposedly...
It is a creepy-ass doll.
It is a creepy doll, but you go to sleep with it on the mantle, and supposedly people will wake up, and it's like on your bedside table. It's creepy. People report, like, I was watching a video from one of the staff members, and she said that a lady came downstairs and was like, do you have the housekeeper come into your room and tell you it's time for breakfast? And the lady's like, no.
Even the ghosts like the biscuits. Okay.
Oh, yeah, so if you stay there, definitely. They have...
So you just...
Is it free breakfast?
It is free breakfast, yes.
For the guests, and it's not a hotel breakfast. It is unbelievable. Like, you crave these biscuits.
I still crave them. That is true, yeah. So it's like biscuits, gravy, scrambled eggs, toast. They've got cereal and stuff. But the biscuits are just the flakiest, butteriest, just best. They're the best biscuits ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So that happened. There's supposedly a lady in white that wanders the hallway. What's the other one? Oh, there was I saw an interview with a man that was doing some work on one of the rooms, and I think it was shortly after the fire because there were no guests. And he was working in one of the rooms, and for whatever reason he had to have the door closed. I don't know if he's working behind the door or whatever. And he kept hearing kids run up and down the stairs. Because you walk in and the front desk is right there in front of a set of stairs, and you walk up the stairs to the rooms. And...
Pack lightly, by the way. Those are some steep stairs.
Yeah. But so he said he'd open the door and he couldn't see any kids. And he shut the door and he'd hear the kids running up and down the stairs again. But he was the only one in there. And finally he just left the door open and he never heard it again. So this has crazy ghost activity. I tried desperately to see a ghost. The second night, remember, we stayed in the general's quarters, and it has two, not small beds, but
yeah,
it was kind of one of those things where it was a little crowded for us both to be in the same bed. I didn't care. I came to your bed because I got scared. I couldn't sleep.
I do remember that because I was all laid out in the middle of the bed. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. No dogs. And then, yeah.
Okay. So, background.
Yeah.
Christopher.
Yeah.
Let's say 2020. I ask you, Christopher, do you believe in ghosts?
Do not believe in ghosts.
Do not believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
Biggest skeptic there ever was.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yes, I was the Scully of our relationship. That is true. Yes.
Yes. Now it is 2025. Christopher, do you believe in ghosts?
I do believe in ghosts.
And tell the good people why.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't. I'm still pretty skeptic. So count me in the.
I can. Yes, I can verify.
I mean, you probably figured that out from the conversation. And let's be honest, I am definitely in the orbs are nonsense kind of crowd, right? So all I can say though is that I sleep with a CPAP. You know what that is? It's a breathing machine. And it's not loud, but it's not quiet either. So it was the first night we were there.
So we're in the Washington Irving suite.
Okay, is that right?
On the first night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Laying there in bed, and it was a 2-room. It was like you had a sitting room and then walked into this bedroom, and it was pretty tight. Like there was just barely enough room for me to walk around to the other side. So I wake up and I turn over and I go, "Would you effing quit that?" And because there was somebody standing there looking at me, and it woke me up. I didn't particularly care for it.
Like early hours of the morning.
Yeah. So I'd been asleep, and I looked over, and I said, will you effing quit that? And it was I didn't detect any malice. I didn't detect anything other than I think he was genuinely curious what my CPAP was. Like that was kind of the feeling. I was like, oh, I'm coming to check this out, and given my skeptic nature, I wanted very quickly to kind of dismiss it, and it was fun to tease Tina, who was out there like begging the ghosts to come show themselves, and then they finally showed them to the skeptic, which we'd always kind of said if ghosts really wanted to be found, they'd show themselves to the skeptic. So I didn't. I really wanted to dismiss it. The problem was the feeling that I had reminded me of when I used to stay in my grandparents' house. And my grandparents' house was made in the early 1800s, right?
Yeah,
like
his grandparents had like your family history is insane.
Yeah,
they have been in the area. We live in the Kansas City area. They've been here since late 1700s.
Yeah. So Samuel Morton Perrin paid like $20 or something like that for them because my grandma actually had like receipts or something like that.
Yeah, insane history. Like streets are named after your family.
That's true. Yeah. You make me sound so like we should turn this to like I'm the kingpin of independent. Anyway, but I used to stay in my grandparents' house. And I wouldn't sleep in the second floor bedroom because I would look and it would kind of seem like there was an outline of a person looking at me. And I talked to my dad about it, and Dad's like, yeah, I used to hear voices. Ghosts taught me our family values. Like, you know, this is who we are as a family that he passed down to me. So the ghost taught him that. Like he would sit there and hear them talking to him. And so my dad always said, yeah, that probably is a ghost, and it probably just curious who you are. And so I dismiss that because ghosts aren't real.
Skeptic.
And
skeptic.
You know, or whatever. And to this day, I struggle to understand where ghosts fit into my larger personal belief system. We don't need to get into that on a Fantastic Footnote show. But, you know, it was one of those things where I didn't believe it. But the feeling was exactly the same. It was like, there's a thing that doesn't quite belong, but there was also no malice to it, right? Like, I don't think that anything was trying to get me or was angry. We were there, and certainly didn't feel that way in my grandparents' house. But the feeling between those two things, because I was sitting there, I'm like, why does this feel so familiar? And then I remembered when I was a teenager staying at my grandparents' house. So, I mean, I think we've turned this a little bit into a paranormal show when we really should just be talking about the biscuits. But
it is the Halloween show. So.
Oh, that's right, it is a Halloween show. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of strange. And so, I mean, so since then, yeah, I've started to say that there's something there, and I don't understand what that is. But yeah, I mean, it was strange.
But have you seen or felt anything since then? No. Okay. So it was like that one incident combined with the memories of your teenage years that kind of made you go, okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that if I didn't see any lights. It was like, it's like in the movies when they take a picture of a corner of a room, right? And there's nothing there, but when they develop the picture, like they see the ghost on the Polaroid or whatever, it was almost like that. Like, I don't know that I saw anything, but in my memory, I can clearly see the dude standing there. Like, which is weird. Like,
you think it was a guy?
It was a guy, yeah. And again, it was just kind of like, it was almost like, it was like, huh, what is that, right? And I'm like, that's why I was like, you know, when I said, will you, like, I'm a little ashamed that my first thought was, would you effing stop that? Because I didn't say effing, let's be very clear. That, you know, my second encounter with a paranormal, second place I encountered a paranormal spirit, my first thing was to tell it to go away so I could sleep. But yeah, I mean, it was, and the thing was, I didn't think anything about it till the next morning. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You told me at breakfast. I was so jealous of you.
Yeah.
Like, jealous, but also, like, I think I would have peed my pants.
So that's just it. There was no fear associated to the experience.
Well, the few experiences I've had, I kind of have had the same thing where it's like, it happens, and then kind of after the fact, you're like, well, that was weird.
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot of, like, soldiers who died.
That's right. We didn't talk about that video. So,
Yeah.
there is a video on YouTube where it's a second floor, and it was one of the CCTV cameras, I think, in the hotel. And it's the second floor, and it's pointed down the hallway, and you can see, like, the rectangle of light at the end of the hallway where there's a light. And then you can see this figure, like...
kind of pass in front of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if the figure is coming out of the other hallway or coming out of the wall, but it very much looks like someone is army crawling down the hallway.
Yeah.
And then they turn into... Was it
one of the rooms?
I think it was a supply closet that used to be like an elevator shaft or something, and they disappear. And it's not like they turned into it and like opened the door.
Right.
They just went through the wall and they were gone.
You know, and if we have people who listen to this and they want to come and say you had a dream, you were predisposed to think about ghosts, which is funny because I wasn't. Like, I'm laughing at Tina as she's like, you know, ghosts, ghosty, like to call them like they were a dog, right?
I'm like recording on my phone, like, is there anyone here?
And there was nothing, right?
Nothing.
The EMF detector never went off. You never heard other voices on the recording.
I saw nothing. I heard nothing.
So yeah, and if, like I said, if anybody wants to come and say, hey, you know, it was indigestion, okay. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. And it was because that's where, I mean, I still think that in most cases. This was just kind of one of those things where it was weird enough that
it stands out.
Yeah, I categorized it differently. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've, said all the things.
I disagree. Let's talk about the biscuits. We've got, can we spend another hour just talking about the biscuits?
Just Bardstown biscuit. That's what we should call this episode. Bardstown biscuits bourbon.
And boo, or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, and boo. Yeah, for the ghosts.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's, in all honesty, when, I'm going to take a moment. A lot of my friends, when they go to Bardstown, I was like, oh, I'm going to get an Airbnb. I'm like, go to Talbot and get some biscuits.
Definitely recommend.
Yeah.
And it was like if you're looking for a place to stay, it was lovely. Like, the hotel, it was all, like, very well decorated, and the beds were nice, and the staff is amazing.
One of the most comfortable beds I've ever had, which you wouldn't expect in a place that still gives you a metal key.
Right. And, like, there's a restaurant downstairs that has the biscuits, but also it serves, like, lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
You were in class. I don't know if I brought you dinner. I had dinner. I had, like, a beef pot pie. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So...
I think you brought me one, too, because I had a buddy of yours. I'm like, just give me that.
So, seriously, even if you don't believe in ghosts, and I don't know why you'd be listening to this if you don't like history, but stay in Bardstown, stay at the Old Talbott Tavern. Yep. We can highly recommend. Next time we go, we'll stay at the jail.
Not sponsored, by the way. Oh, are we?
Or not. I mean, because then we don't get biscuits.
Right, that's the point.
Yeah.
Biscuits are the killer argument.
Yeah. But if you were looking for a good vacation, if you like history, if you like bourbon, if you like just cute little towns in general. We
didn't even talk about the horses, right? The whole Kentucky Derby and the horse culture and everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much. Like I said, there's that whole cathedral. There's so much history there. So if you're looking for a good vacation, definitely recommend.
We didn't even talk about the mental institution either. There was that mental institution that all those people stayed at, and there was like all those atrocities and stuff.
Oh, right. I don't think that was in Bardstown.
It was in Louisville.
Yeah,
okay.
It was close, though. Yeah.
By the way, the proper pronunciation is like you're choking. Lowell. Yeah. Like you have marbles in your mouth. We found that out. We were told. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's our Bardstown episode. Mm-hmm. That's our Halloween episode. If you want to know more about Bigfoot, go check out that Daniel Boone. Did Daniel Boone shoot a Bigfoot?
That was a good episode.
Kill a Bigfoot, yeah. Come back next week. We're going to do is it an accident or is it an arson shipwreck? And just remember, history is weird, especially if you read the footnotes.
Or if you fall asleep in a haunted hotel room.